What's going on, everyone? It's Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. This is our round 3 DFS Showdown targets for the 2021 Zurich Classic. Craig, I feel like it's been a 180 for me since round 1, where I thought I was cruising in with some 6 of 6s. Sleepers are looking good. Deep sleepers are looking good. And just got torn apart today. How did
Yeah.
your day go?
I cashed in Showdown. I'm just playing a single lineup for this tournament
Single dart?
because yeah.
Yeah.
It was a cash, which is good. I mean, it wasn't a great cash, but anything in the green is good.
Green is good.
I mean, I have no six of sixes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you're at. I do have a five of six, which I feel pretty good about.
That's good. You didn't do a whole 20 max this time. You kind of handpicked a few lineups, so that's to be expected. I got
Yeah,
zero
I've
six of
got
six
five
too.
lineups in. So
I got zero six of sixes. I got a handful of five of sixes. It's tough. Thank you guys for joining us. Looks like we got some IPA, some Syrah, some wine. I got a little Okanagan cider. I feel like that's a free giveaway, but they're local. They're small.
well, they're not really local to you, but
They're local to our roots. I don't know
they've
what to
been
say.
around forever too. I think it was one of the first things I ever drank was an Okanagan cider.
Wow, there you go.
Sounds
Uh,
like Brent Harris had a good day.
just catching up. Took down a five-player all or nothing. Cash 50-50. Sipping on some. Oh, we got some bourbon as well.
All things are
Saturday
looking
moving
up.
day.
Those sounds like life is good over there.
I mean, moving day is going to be great. Like we only have 33 teams. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's crazy. It's a bare minimum, really, that could be through.
yeah,
Um,
and it's gonna make hard from a showdown point of view
yeah,
because there's so few to choose from. So I think I'm gonna continue to take single darts.
yeah. I think I'm going to go 1 to 3 lineups max, and then getting probably a 20 max. And there is a lot more randomness. Also, I mean, different format tomorrow, and weather's going to be an issue, which we'll talk about in a sec. If you have bad ball, congrats again. We're talking about on our Discord about that 6 of 6. If you have some 6 of 6, flex in the chat. Let's
Yeah.
hear it. Like, let's
What is
celebrate
it
them.
like? Yeah, small amount. But the actual leaderboard. So pretty interesting from a DFS aside. It's setting up for a pretty interesting weekend. We do have a couple teams starting to pull away, but tomorrow is going to be volatile. Like people could shoot up the board. So
Yeah,
and
and
then
people,
and then Sunday is going to be hold. you know,
yeah, hold again.
yeah.
Jon Snow hold again. I don't feel like I feel like people can shoot up the board a little bit, but again, teasing the weather, I think it's a little bit more advantageous for the
Maybe
leader.
less than Thursday.
Less than Thursday, I think for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's best ball, so it's going to be lower scores. But
Yeah,
I
I have
mean,
to
looking
say
at the first,
Stenson Rose really surprised me.
they did. And yeah, those vets can sometimes just flip it around. I mean, Rose, we saw some at the Masters. Stenson made the cut at the Masters, but still,
And I think it's his best finish of the year so far.
they
But
they were saying on the broadcast, I heard someone say that Stenson's been in the top 2 the last 5 years for strokes gained approach. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Then like 5 seconds later, they're like, up until 2019. I'm
oh,
like,
okay,
that's more real. Yeah,
that makes
that's
more sense. But they also were saying I don't know if this was in an interview with them or just the broadcasters talking about it after the fact, but they would love it if every day was alternate shot because
yeah.
they feel like they're better at the grind than some of these other teams are. So maybe something to keep in mind for Sunday, wherever they end up finishing after tomorrow.
The one thing that sticks out to me though, Craig, with the top 5, 6 teams is like there's big hitters. Even
Yeah.
Hovland, Ventura, you don't really think about them, but I mean, when Ventura was on the tee, Hovland was getting all these kind of flippy irons. It seemed like into these holes. So he was pushing it out there, but for sure, Champ Finau, Watson, Scheffler, there's some guys that can push it out.
Yeah, good old Graham McDowell. Got to keep an eye on
G-Mac,
him.
G-Mac, yeah. With
Okay. Oh, I'm on the wrong window here. Yeah, so we're back to best ball. This should be round three format. Same format as round one, essentially. Adam, tell us what that is.
best ball. Sorry, I wasn't really listening. Best
Uh,
ball, yeah, it's 4 ball. Everyone plays their own ball, and then at the end of the hole, you card whoever is the best score between your partner and yourself. Same format as round one. Should lead to much, much, much lower scoring. That's when we had the -5 scoring average.
except for what we see here.
Yeah, so well, there's a few things to unpack here. Round one, minus 5.3 scoring average. That was the best ball. We had alternate shot. It was 1.23. Our picks actually did pretty good, point plus five. And the worst of those, Streelman Fratelli, ended with a birdie streak. So it's
Yeah,
kind
that
of
that
good.
saved between them, and I had the Sungjae Im team. Both those teams finished with some momentum to save my showdown today.
Well, Sungjae, I didn't even see that. Sungjae Benyan was after the broadcast. I unstarred them because I was bitter about them missing the cut. I counted that they couldn't. So, and then I saw they finished minus three. I'm like, oh, that was a good little run, actually.
Yeah.
But the DFS tournament lineup, I think we should talk about for a second here. 6 of 6 is about 1%. 5 of 6 is about 9%, depending on what contest you're in. I don't like to vent much, but I'm going to do a little bit of venting here for some of our sleepers. Laird Talor needed one. They missed a 5-foot birdie putt on 7 to miss the cut by 1. Akshay and Piercy actually puts it in the water on 17 in the AM wave, leads to a double bogey. Then they have the par 5 18th, which they par, and they missed by 2. And then Thompson Gordon, which were cruising along all day in the PM wave, go plus 3 in their final 2 holes to miss by 3. Oh, it was
Yeah.
like, I know everyone's kind of in the same boat, but it was just mind-boggling how these teams fell apart coming in.
Yeah, and Neesmith's Seifert, they didn't. I don't know how dramatic. I didn't actually look at how it went down, but they missed by 2, and I mean they were one off. It looked like the cut was moving ping pong back and forth between -6 and -5 all day, and the fact that it is exactly on 33 teams making it, it's going to make for a brutal, or a very narrow weekend, narrow field for the weekend.
Yeah. Shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs making it through the cut. Good for the Kirk Todd were good for the showdown. So happy about that. But Craig, I think the big thing here, first tee, last tee, and the wind that we're going to see tomorrow.
Yeah. So I mean the wind. So are you essentially? So we have first tees 8 o'clock, last tees 11 o'clock. If you look at the wind there, it's going to be bad throughout the morning, starting to tail off sometime between 2 and 3, and then really by 3, 4. Starting to fall off then, I think. Are you looking at that with any kind of trying to play guys later?
Maybe a little bit, just because, I mean, right around 3, 4, that's when like the constant wind there does die down a little bit. The gusts are going to be there all day, it does seem like.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be unpredictable, but also the people that are playing later are playing better too.
Yeah, but I think the one thing that is caught, so I'm not going to focus on that. And
No.
the reason being that we've got 33 people in the field, 33 teams in the field, so 33 possible plays in DFS. The people who are already leaders, their ownership is going to be high. So I would rather take the chance that, the people everyone are playing because of form and potentially weather. I'm going to go away from that, and I'm just going to try to be a little bit contrarian, and it may bite me in the ass, but that's okay. I'll take my shot, and if the contrarian works, then I'll be in the less I'll have leverage in the field.
Yeah, I haven't quite made that like leader lineup, picking even like the Chalmers group to like have your low end and like just build from like the latest tee times. So I'm sure that will be kind of a popular build just because you can fit the most people in that are playing the best.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of agree with you. I think with 33 teams, we have such a micro slate now to choose from. We need to be a little bit different, fade some big guys. They have softened the price on showdowns, which is nice to see. So you can be a little bit more creative than the tournament long, but I mean, looking at the wind and looking at the round one scoring average, the other thing too, I think is important, rock hard greens. If you're watching the broadcast, rock hard greens, it seemed like they might get a little bit of rain overnight, so that might soften, but I don't think we're going to see the
But then if they
-5.
do, and it's windy all day, they'll harden right back up.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if we'll get to that -5 scoring average again. We did kind of trim some of that fat, I'll call it, some of those guys that didn't go that low. But -5 still seems low in these kind of conditions.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be under par still. Wind, these guys are too good just because it's windy. They're still, if both of them are playing, it's going to be under par. I'm guessing maybe something like
3, 4.
3, 4. And you never know if it's predictable. Like, I think the thing that really hurts these guys is gustiness. If they can't predict it, if it's steady wind, these guys are so good that they can, they know how to adjust.
Yeah.
And when you're playing best ball and you can make a mistake and your teammate makes a par still, that's fine.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
Okay, ready to go?
Do you want to
Jump
get
into
into it?
it? Yep.
Yeah, hit that thumbs up if you have not yet already. Subscribe to our channel if you are new to our channel. Thank you for joining us tonight. Let's try to get some money. If you didn't get any 6s, we're gonna get 4 picks because it is a reduced field. Usually we do 3 and 3 each. We're gonna do 2 teams each. Hit the subscribe. Let's jump into it if you're ready, Craig.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going with the Aussies. Cameron Smith, Marc Leishman, 9,300 on DraftKings. They've gone 63-72. Obviously, that's at 2 different formats. They're at 9 under. So in the best ball, they won 1 eagle, 7 birdies. Really nice start. Today, alternate shot, still a lot of birdies. 4 birdies is not that bad. 2 bogeys and then a double where Marc Leishman went in the water, led to a double bogey. So ultimately didn't lead to a great round. Even par was still beating the field, but not kind of moving up the leaderboard like they could have. But basically, they were the 4th highest priced team pre-tournament in all tournament long contests. They are the 7th highest for round 3. Knock that stat, Craig. That is a disrespect stamp for the Aussies. There's no reason they should be that expensive or that cheap. They are playing well. Cam Smith is in great form coming in. Marc Leishman has shown signs for sure. And I feel like they both excel in windy conditions. Whenever Marc Leishman is on broadcast, we hear about his spot in Australia being the windiest spot in Australia. And then Cam Smith, he's a wizard around the green. So I have absolute faith in Cam Smith as well. Also has played Island Course as well. So I think these guys are great no matter what. I think they're even better in windy conditions.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. I think they're going to be my one lineup. I'd say the one issue, it's such an attractive price for these two. That's the one issue is I suspect their ownership will creep up a bit. But there's a lot of plays up there that people like. So this one, will people just decide that they can start here? Like that's what I did. I just decided I can start there. But
that's what I was looking at too.
So I think people will be tempted by people higher up the leaderboard that maybe a little bit flashier names.
Yeah.
Okay, my first one here, I'm going back to my tournament long pick. Talor, Gooch, Max Homa, they come in at 9,100. It just seems like a fantastic value. You're going to the clearance rack here. 66 round 1, 71 round 2. They're -7 on the tournament. They had 7 birdies, and actually they had a bogey on that best ball day. And then 5 birdies, 2 bogeys, and a double today. So essentially, I think they underachieved in round 1 with their 66. Anytime you're putting up a bogey in best ball, it's an underachieving. Two pros, sure. Unless it's a very hard hole, they shouldn't be doing that. It's a bit sloppy. I think they they just didn't have a very tight game all around. Now, the one thing, and this is kind of revisiting why I liked them coming into this week. Mm-hmm. There's 3 teams that entered this week with both players gaining over a strokes gained total in the past 6 months. Can you name the other 2 teams?
The 2 at the top, Cantlay, Xander, and Rom Palmer.
Yeah. So this is, we're talking about the kind of the blue chip stocks. And then these guys. So I feel like people are not really considering these 2 in the same league as those other 4 players, and I think that's a mistake. So I'm gonna take the $9,100 price tag, and I'm gonna run. The one lineup. I built one lineup. I started with your pick, and I have my pick coming in right there next. I think it's great value at 93 and 91.
I like it. The other thing, too, I think the windiest conditions we've seen all season are at Riviera. Max Homa won that one.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but...
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but, I mean, that is... It's just another thing of, like, we talk about that. If you have that confidence when you're on the course, on the tee, I mean, that almost trumps everything else, having that confidence.
It's just too bad. It's just too bad Matt Fitzpatrick isn't here because...
I know, right?
Yeah.
Come on. Okay. My second and last pick, I'm going with Erik van Rooyen and Wyndham Clark, EVR, 7,800 on DraftKings, 64-74. They went -6. They had 8 birdies on their first day. They had 2 birdies, 4 bogeys. I don't think they're the necessarily the best. So this is why we kind of talk about Kirk Todd. I felt like we're a great kind of fit for that alternate shot day. Erik Van Rooyen and Wyndham Clark, I feel like, are much better for the better ball. And I think because they're kind of complementary pairing. EVR, if you ever have rostered him in the last 2 years in tournament long, he has these kind of mind-boggling blow-up holes, and it just drives people crazy because the talent is there. We see the talent. I think he's positive in every strokes gained category. Very well-rounded player, but then he'll card an 8, and it'll just kind of destroy his chances of making the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
When you're
Trust
in
me,
best
I have had quite a few miscuts from EVR when it's like, oh, he's in for sure, and I've already counted it, and he's not in for sure.
And unless Wyndham Clark does the exact same thing on the exact same hole, gets wet or whatever it may be, he can kind of avoid that in this format. So also with Wyndham Clark, he ranks 8th best in the PGA, the entire PGA, in bogey avoidance. So he has a very, very low bogey percentage number. So I really like this this pairing together. Also, just kind of going back through their history, I feel like they have both shown positive win performance through their careers. So something I'm kind of keeping a little bit of eye on for round 3. Mm-hmm. And EVR and Wyndham Clark kind of stick out as a below average, below that kind of 8,000 threshold as kind of a pretty solid play with tons of upside with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is I'm playing them as well, and they like Wyndham Clark. We saw him contend in Bermuda in a windy tournament there. I'm not going to roster them in alternate shot, but I think they're a perfect example of the team you want to have in a best ball day, but not an alternate shot day.
Yeah.
Okay, last one here for me. I'm going with my hype team. I haven't yet to pick them this week, and I just couldn't go the full week without it. Doug Yim, Justin's 7,500. They had a great day on best ball on day 165. Moved backwards a little bit today with a 73. I know that you were hyped on them for a little while because they were absolutely scorching hot, and
they came out blazing today, and they were solo first for a bit. I think as Garnett kind of came down and they went up.
Yeah, they made a lot of bogeys. So they went 8 birdies, 1 bogey on the first day, and then they were 5 birdies, 6 bogeys. That's a full scorecard there today. So both of these guys played well in the win this year. Gim also at Bermuda. I don't think he was top 10 there. He was top 20 though. But then also he played well at RSM. He played well at AT&T. Right. And then Justin saw. I mean, obviously he doesn't have as many starts, but I was looking through his. And he has these rounds in the win. Like, if you look at his round in Bermuda, he ended up missing the cut there. But he had, like, 3 or 4 birdies and then shot, like, a 75. Like, he has these rounds. I mean, this is not a safe play, I would say. Both this one and EVR Clark. These are the type of plays that, to me, are high risk, high reward. And that's what I want to do at the bottom of my line. Or, the lower priced end of my lineup. So yeah, I like both of them in the wind. I think they have upside. I think they're both birdie makers. You look at Gim, who we have better stats for. He is much better at making birdies than avoiding bogeys, which to me is still what it's all about, even on a windy day. And the big thing on top of that, it's a pivot off whatever this guy's name is. Uline?
Yeah.
Is it Uline?
Yeah.
Uline Orensky. So those guys are at 7,400. I think they're going to attract a ton of ownership, and probably rightfully so. Like, I haven't shown them long, so I'm very happy with how they're playing. But I just think they're going to attract so much ownership at, I believe, -10 at 7,400. They kind of stand out there when you're building lineups. And so to me, this is a good pivot off them.
And I don't necessarily know how this pairing came together of Gim and Sa, but I feel like the more kind of familiar they get with each other, it might kind of improve their kind of team chemistry through kind of the weekend. Just getting to the weekend was good. Now they can kind of improve on that. They are like the classic, Craig. I mean, we did this for years growing up, like the all Madden franchise mode. You enter a franchise and you draft the young guys. This is who you would start your franchise mode if you're doing golf right now. I mean, their upside, that's why we call them team potential, team franchise mode. Their upside is so high. And that's why we see, I mean, 5 birdies on alternate shot is kind of ridiculous. I don't know if many people, maybe I don't know if many people got there. But then they'll get the 6 birdies.
And I want to say they had a streak of 4 in a row at one point.
Yeah, they just can absolutely torch the golf course sometimes. So they're worth rostering, and I think they are kind of a better fit for best ball for this format as well. So streaky guys, yeah, hop on and they might lead you to a top of a GPP.
Yeah, I was trying to just look up where Gim went to school. I know that Justin Sa was a USC guy, but I think Gim. I don't think he was
Chicago area, but
yeah, he's Chicago area. He was Big 12, so I don't know where he went to school here. It didn't come up on his Wikipedia, but I mean, they're both young.
he
They
went to
both
U of T. Of course, he went to U of T.
yeah, okay. So I'm not sure how they joined up here, but I like the pairing. I think that it's an exciting one that has high potential.
Yeah, for sure. Those are our 4 picks. Craig, we've got a couple questions, comments in the chat. So thank you guys for joining us live. Ray asked, Usti Schwartzel good win players. I was looking at the
Yes, that's my answer.
the Open where Zach Johnson won. I think he was in it was, I mean, kind of like the classic mutter type Open, and he was in the playoff with Leishman and Usti, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like vets, whenever things are a little bit different, vets in the first place, you give a bit of a bump to. And I just think, I mean, they're solid ball strikers, they're good putters. I'm looking at them for sure.
I would have tons of confidence in them going into the wind. I kind of agree with that veteran thing as well.
Yeah, and William Neal, Werenski and Uline, I totally agree. To me, it's just a pivot. Like I still think they're a good play. It's just if you're going to play, like some of these other guys we're talking about, like, you know, I suspect Cam Smith and Leishman will have decent ownership.
Sure.
Gimsa probably will have some decent ownership. So it's more like you can't play all the chalky plays.
It's also might be one of those days because we have so many limited options to leave $100, $200, $300 on the table. If you're just building, if you're in a big GBP and you
now,
want
I was going to say that the contests aren't as big, so you don't need to worry as much about like, oh, I need to be super unique in a field of 90,000 entries. It's just, you know, it's a different week. We're not getting 90,000 entries on a Saturday of the Zurich Classic.
It turns out it's not the Masters.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I think that's the last of our chat.
Yeah, just real quick. So Stephen Davidson, I'm not sure what penalty it is you're talking about. I tried to look it up real quick, but I don't know. Do you know what they're talking about with the penalty?
No, I didn't really follow that.
I watched the tail end of the broadcast. I didn't catch the start of it, so I'm not sure. And Tom T. My picks would be similar. Some of these picks I have sort of looked at more as best ball plays.
Yes, me too.
So the Homa and Cam Smith, those two teams, I'd be very happy with them weekend long. Both EVR Clark and Gimsa, I'd be a little bit more hesitant, but I think it's going to be hard to find that back end for the weekend.
Yeah, I would actually kind of completely agree with that. Those two picks for those days. I would also look at the weather on Sunday to see what we're getting.
Yeah.
But I would probably look for probably guys that are more steady around the green putting for the weekend. Like
a Uline Werenski, I think I would prefer probably over Gimsa.
Yeah, I think so.
And look at Rose Stenson weekend long.
I think they got priced. They're up there though.
Yeah, but still, those alt shot specialists.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. It's been good, guys.
We'll see you tomorrow for round 4 showdown, 9:30 p.m.